Uh, Hello, everyone, and welcome to our today's session. It's a pleasure to have each of you joining us from different parts of the world. This is Arash Aghajani. I'm a Microsoft MVP and community leader from Vancouver, Canada, and I'm going to host our today's session. Uh, it's another Saturday, and we are going to kick off our October session today. So we line up actually four session for October with five speakers, five outstanding speakers. So we have Senthamil today, and he is Microsoft MVP, and he will walk through a travel approval workflow with Power Apps and Power Automate, and teach us how we can build uh, a travel workflow and travel request app. So it will be a great session for today. And the next week, Marcus will talk about the community forum and how we can learn more from the Microsoft uh, Power Apps community forum. And Natasha actually will talk about the Power Automate flow, how we can handle the error and logging in the Power Automate flows. And the last session for this month is about build SharePoint Copilot with Microsoft Copilot Studio, that will be covered by Smita Nachan and Nandip Nachan, two outstanding speakers in the community in the Microsoft M365 and Power Platform community. So we can't wait actually for this great session this month, and hopefully you join us on this session as well. As ever, I'm going to talk a little about the Microsoft Learn community and introduce the Microsoft Learn community. The Microsoft Learn community offers various ways for learners to connect with peers and experts to enhance their expertise and achieve career goals. It includes the Microsoft Learn Hub for updates and discussion, and learning rooms for direct engagement on specific topics. Access the community through the provided link for more information, and to join aka.ms/Microsoft Learn community for joining to the Microsoft Learn community space. And the Power Platform Learner to Leader is one of the Microsoft Learn learning room, which has more than 2,000 members. We are sharing the latest information about Power Platform in our learning room, and also conduct this series of session every Saturday for Power Platform enthusiasts. So if you would like to join us in our learning room, so here is the link, aka.ms/join PPLTL, Power Platform Learner to Leader. So you can easily join through this link to our learning room to get most actually from the learners and the things that we are sharing in our learning room in the Microsoft Learn. So, and the last slide here is the code of conduct. So, Microsoft aims to empower everyone globally through knowledge sharing and events, ensuring a respectful and inclusive environment for all. Harassment or degrading behavior is not tolerated, and everyone is responsible for upholding these standards. The code of conduct encourages awareness, respect, openness, understanding, and kindness. So before we begin, I have a few important things and notes here. If you have any question during the presentation, feel free to type them in the chat box, and we will have a Q&A dedicated session towards around the 5 minutes at the end. And the last but not least is the session is being recorded for those who couldn't join us live, and will be available shortly in Power Platform Zero to Hero, Power Platform Learner to Leader YouTube channel. So the Zero to Hero was our previous name, and it was the initial name that we had for this learning room. So yeah, currently we are using the Power Platform Learner to Leader name. Okay, so without any delay, I'm going to hand it over to our speaker today, the Senthamil. Let me add it to the stage. Uh, Hello, Senthamil.
Hello, hi,
Hi,
hi.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us for this great session today. So, we can't wait to learn from you today about the topic you have prepared for us. So, let me put your and add your slides to the stage. Okay, the stage on yours. You can start your presentation. Yeah, all good.
I think you can see my slides now.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, and I feel great to have a session. It's very kind of me to have the session for the Power Platform Learner to Leader. So today I'm going to present a session which is more of kind of a use case which I did in my previous engagements. Basically, most of the community people used to ask me to present any of the use cases which we have done in existing scenarios. So today I'm presenting the travel approval workflow using the Power Apps and the Power Automate. During the course of my presentation, I would show the versions which we have upgraded from version 1, 2, and then 3. Basically, it's a different types of approval which we presented and we could be able to achieve using Power Apps and the Power Automate. I would also go through several use cases or design of the Power Automate workflow options which we have, and two major Power Automate which we have designed for this scenario. Okay, so this is a small agenda which I have for today. Let me just brief about myself, just a quick thing about myself, and then some basics of Power Apps you should know. Not deep into the full design of a Power Apps because that is a different topic altogether. Just want to brush up a few of the controls which I have used and which is very useful for the people who are trying to design the Power Apps. And later, I have already shared in one of my YouTube channel about having an icons within the Power Apps using the Phantasm. Later, I would discuss more on that, make your Power Apps much more elegant and looks nicer than the traditional boring Power Apps. Then later, I would just go through what are the travel forms and the approval processes which we did and the screenshots. Along the course, I would show the real app as well. And the Power Automate approval. I would go through a few options of the Power Automate and how do you go with the approval process. Yes. This is about myself. I'm from Singapore. I'm a Microsoft MVP on the Azure. Slowly doing more of a Power Platform as my professional course. Uh, MEP Azure is for my MEP community activities, and the Power Platform, SharePoint, and the Power Automate and Power Apps are more into professional. So I do more SharePoint, Power Automate, and Power Platform thing in my professional. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's in the QR code, and this is my YouTube channel. I do more on the Power Automate, focus more on critical points on the Power Automate. So I do more Power Automate YouTube channel. So let's jump into the Power Apps. So basically, if you take the Power Apps within the Microsoft platform, they offer a pretty much template for most of the scenarios. And over the period of time, Power Apps have evolved very much into decent apps now. If you see from the left side, it's about the pages design currently which we have. 2 or 3 years back, when I start doing more Power Apps to the enterprise, we don't have more of the controls and the containers to have Power Apps to be make it more elegant. But now Microsoft has added more and more controls, and I'm going to discuss only one of the few of the controls which I use it regularly and feel it's really useful in everyday Power Apps creation. Second, at the right side screen, you see that there are several app template, which are already available in the Power Apps from the Microsoft. And we can just inherit from that and start using those design as well. Some of the design which I really like is the onboarding task. If you could see that, it looks more like a nicer format of the Power Apps, which I use it often, where you would have the employee tasks and nicer format. So several app template which we have. And for the travel approval, there are so many of websites which are the YouTube channels you could see, go through several apps or the templates which you have. So I'm just going to share my experience on the Power Apps which we built, and then we make it to use it in the client place. So basically, when you are into the Power Apps, the most useful controls which I often use it every day or every time when I create the Power Apps is the container controls. The container controls, there are three types of container controls. One is the horizontal, vertical, and the normal container controls. The horizontal container controls, you can see here the layout is side by side. If you want to align a text or align a content from left to right, this control is really helpful, and it adjusts automatically by itself. So especially when you want to design a fluid app for multiple screen sizes, this horizontal control makes it much easier in our scenarios. So most of the time, the top control and the left navigation control, we use it for horizontal control, and subsequently we would add the containers inside. It has several properties. If you can see here, the direction, you can have it as a horizontal direction, and left to right content, you can arrange it based on the alignment. You can justify or you can make it to left, right. So based on your use cases, you can align your buttons or the text. It can be any controls which you drop inside your horizontal container. It will automatically align to its own based on your selection. And you have a separate property called the gap, meaning that how much of the gap you want to have between the container control. So later you would see the sample also. And there is also a property called overflow. So when something goes beyond the container, you have a choice whether to hide the container or to have a scroll bar. So it's pretty much handy. The second one is about the vertical container. And the vertical container, it's again similar to the horizontal. It just the alignment is vertical, and it is a perfect fit for the top navigation control or the top control for banner, logo, and you can design something like a website. The Power Apps can be like a website with the top alignments, so which makes it much easier. Similarly, it has its all property, so more or less it's the same. So instead left to right, it goes from top to bottom, and you can make it fill the container, you can extend it. So it's kind of lots of use cases you can do with that. Finally, the normal container. So sometime the vertical and the horizontal container, when you add a control within, what happens is that it automatically aligns or stick control to its border or to top, bottom. So you cannot really adjust a controller within the container on the vertical and the horizontal container. So in certain scenarios, you want a container to make it easy to group all the controls, but you want to have your own alignment, drag and drop, changing the width and the height. So you want to play around with your controls, then the container controls makes best choice for you. What makes it much easier is that sometimes you have 5-6 controllers within your within a single container, and you want to make it hide and show. That makes it much easier. You just hide the container, so whatever the container controls inside the container will just hide, and you can align it on based on your custom alignment. So you can place your controls left, right, top. So it depends on how you want to align it. It has its own property as well. So similarly, it has its direction, gap, overflow. You have your same properties which you have. So those are the controls which I want to just quickly brush up. There are so many controls which Microsoft is keep adding on to the Power Apps. I want to just brush up those three main controls, which I use it so often, makes my life easier to create the containers with the controls. So that's why I was just discussing those three only. Next is the font awesome with the Power Apps. I've already published all the icons which comes with font awesome. I have used the version 5.5, not the latest one. So I am in the process of adding more and more icons which comes from the version 6 and 7. So font awesome now has reached 6 and 7. So these icons which I have added, you can take the GitHub URL. So what happens is that inside the GitHub URL, I have already converted that into a Excel. You can see the Excel file here. Inside the Excel, later I'll just go through the Excel. Inside the Excel, you would have 3 tabs. Each tab is nothing but a table of icons. So Font Awesome comes with a light, bold, regular icon. So all the icons I converted into kind of an Excel data and uploaded into my GitHub for a public consumption. I have already in my YouTube channel discussed about how to use it, but again, I'll just simply go through this in the sample, because later my screens are all based on that design. If you can see here, basically the image control which you use in the Power Apps, it takes a SVG content as well, not just the image. So the SVG content, you can, you know about the SVG content, it's like more of a vector graphic, and it's not kind of a picture where you need to upload a high resolution picture, and when you keep changing the resolution, either it becomes blurry or it's squeezed or stretched. The vector graphics is not like a picture. Vector graphics, what it does is whenever you include the content, and whenever you stretch the content, it will redraw the content. So no matter how big the image is or how small the image goes in, the vector graphic will rewrite or redraw the image. Makes it much more clarity, and it will not squeeze, or it will not be blurry, or you don't have the it doesn't suffer the problem which picture has. So what I did is that one of the MEP, I guess, before he was playing around with the SVG, I just borrowed his idea and converted all the font awesome so that anyone can just upload the Excel and just refer the icon. Then automatically your icon will drop. So later I'll show you the apps. This is the HTML tag or the SVG tag with option to change the color. You can customize this color, RGB color. You can also make it dynamic so that your icon color can change based on some dynamic content. And this is Power Apps formula. Later I can show it in my apps. Power Apps formula, which looks up into the solid icons data source, and you get the icon name. So based on the icon name, so see here, the user icon. How do you show the user icon within your app? Just look up the solid icon and just add the name as user. Then there it goes. Automatically your icon will be displayed. Right now in the Power Apps, within the icon is very limited. So I really wanted a font awesome, because previously I was a Bootstrap with web open source developer. I used to lot jQuery, React.js with font awesome. So I was thinking that why can't we bring it to Power Apps so that all the icons can be utilized? So that's the main idea. So coming to the original use case of the travel application, initially we designed a simple travel request form. This is our simple, very, very simple travel request form early in the days of like 4 years back, around 4.5 or around that time, during COVID time, I guess, around that time. So at that time, Power Apps was kind of getting popular. We started developing a travel request application, and we just used whatever which was available in the Power Apps. So we designed a simple form, and there was no popularity on the Dataverse at that time. So everything we designed through the Power Apps was SharePoint list. So this application, which is there, the travel request, which the screenshot which I show you later, I have the app as well. it saves into the SharePoint list. And it's a very primitive app. It doesn't have much of the UI functionality. Then the time goes on, we did more of a research, then we bring in a new option to do a version 2, more of a travel claim application. So here, what we started to do is that the same kind of a travel application which was rolled out, they want to have a claim for the travel app. So we started making use of the font awesome. You can see here all the fonts are the icons which comes from the font awesome. And most of the font awesome has been already been imported, and the form looks a bit more kind of elegant, or it looks a bit beautiful than the previous form. And we used to have several options to show the guide. You can click on or mouse over this to have a tooltip, and you have pretty much good icons to show the details of the application. So this application is mainly to get the claims option. So once you have already completed your travel, you select your travel which has been completed, and it shows you the date, and you start to do the claim based on the travel. And the claim can have a category of the claim. So at that time, we also integrated AI Builder. So basically what happens is that when you click on, we had a button here to scan the invoice or the receipt. So whenever you have a claim, example, you have traveled to Malaysia to Singapore, and you have your taxi bill and the hotel bill. So you can get your restaurant taxi bill, and you can scan it with AI Builder. The AI Builder will automatically get the amount here, and also it captures the picture. So you don't really have to key in some of the details. So we captured the amount as well as the date alone, the invoice date and the value or the price. It works out pretty much good. I would say that 75% to 80% it captured it, as long as the receipt was in English and also in a fixed format. When people started traveling more and more countries like Beijing, Shanghai, and to a different region, it was in Chinese and Mandarin and Malay. So the language has changed, and Indonesia. So when the language changes, we had an issue with the AI Builder. So we'll have to keep learning different receipt types and the languages. That was one issue which we faced. And second issue was the scale. AI Builder at that time was very, very expensive. Microsoft was charging based on the number of instances which you spin up to scan the receipt. So we rolled out only to 5-10 employees initially, just for the finance team. But more and more, when we start to roll out to different, more and more department, it could not. I mean, we could not pay for it because it's like too much of cost. So we just removed it eventually. Okay, so this is version 2, and finally, on seeing it, they successfully want to do an end-to-end business application. Then it becomes more and more complex. Then we started doing the full end-to-end wizard of business travel application. So basically, if you see here, this is just the start screen of version 3. And what happens is that here, you submit the form, it goes, it's like full process. The process alone happens for around a month. So basically, they apply the travel form. They have so much of a complex options. Like when you apply, what happens is that you give the details, and you can specify it's a one-way round trip or a multi-city. So if it is multi-city, you keep adding your flights here. So it is like one too many. So, and again, we started with SharePoint, but by the time Dataverse has become more and more popular and becomes more robust. So, and it becomes slightly cheaper. SharePoint, the main advantage is it doesn't cost anything if you already have the E3 or E5 licenses. But Dataverse you should buy. But eventually Microsoft started rolling out to customers and partners a bit slightly lower licenses. Then we started using the Dataverse for it. So when someone apply for a travel form, it goes to the travel desk. They review it, approve it, and try to book a flight based on your choice. So what happens is that when you apply for it, the travel desk will give you 2-3 options. So maximum 3 to 5 options they would give. So we would restrict to 3 options. Like if you want to fly from Singapore to maybe for Dubai or to London or to US, you have several choices of flights, either through Emirates or from Singapore airline or through different airlines. So the travel desk would give you 3 options. Then out of the 3 options, you select one option and you apply for a line manager for approval. The line manager would see that, and he might say that no, this choice, the Singapore airline choice, is too expensive. Let me go to the Emirates or some other airline. So it goes back to the travel desk, and they would propose another 2 options, and they would choose the option. And once it goes to an option, then it goes to the original booking, and the original booking they book and then give you all the details of the booking, including your hotel itinerary, everything. Once you receive it, you successfully do the travel, and once you come from travel, you do the claim. So you'll have to submit all the bill, then it goes to the travel expense claim. So it's an end-to-end process. It can happen. It can last for even a month. So it's a very complex application. Let me show you of it. I cannot show the full, but the screens I can. Okay, so if you can see here, this is the front screen. Right now it is connected to the local database, and you can see here some of them we have removed it. So just the screen design for now. We make use of the font awesome like a wizard. So this is a custom control we built on ourselves based on the process. It shows a different color when you move over the process, and it's stuck in a certain stage. It will be in yellow. Then when it moves on, it becomes green. And the employee details, when you log in, it automatically pulls out from the AD. So all the details are from AD. And the travel detail, you can submit it here. This is one-to-many. So basically what happens is that at runtime, the parent table, which is that travel table, and it goes into the itinerary table. So it's a bit, at that time it was a bit complex to do, then we could be able to do. And we had several screens, meaning that if a travel desk agent joins in or logs in, all these fields become read-only, because obviously the agent cannot change it. So for that, we have our own control. That's why I mentioned you that the container control becomes very handy. So each one is a kind of a container, and inside the container, the controls are there. So we just hide and show based on the roles. So when you log in, the roles are picked up from AD, which is the Active Directory group, and it becomes hide and show based on the thing. I mentioned you they would give a 3 option. So the travel agent will submit you the 3 options. So these are the options which you see here. They would even give a comment, and if it is so these pictures are dynamic. If you see here, if the travel agent comes back to you and then gives you the flight option, even a taxi option or the hotel option with this one is for both way. But if the travel agent says that I cannot provide you the taxi and the both ways, then you would see only the flight and the hotel. And similarly, if it is both options, so the icon itself shows you that what kind of options you have. So you choose the option. So once you choose the option, then you can submit your code. So once you submit your code, then you would see it goes to a subsequent agent. Then it goes to different. Then you start to book your options here. So the view comes in different views. So when the agent logs in, he would see a different view, and when booking manager joins in, he would see a different view. So for different roles, we created a different views based on that. And finally, you would see the invoices. You can submit your invoice, and you can specify how many days you are there. You might be booked for 4 days, but your travel might have ended in 3 days. So you need to claim, or you have to submit the thing to the finalizer. So finally, you submit your claim, and it goes through another process. So this is one of the complex Power Apps application, which was kind of we used it The user base was 25 before to start with, then rolled out to 50, then 100. So 100 users were starting using it. Initially, the SharePoint started to become slightly bit slow because of the threshold of 2000 records and delegation issue. So SharePoint records were more of a delegate. When we try to search for more and more information, it tries to pick up only records within that 2000 much faster than more than 3000 or 4000 records. So to accommodate that, we archived the whole data so that we try to have 1000 or 1000 plus of data always, not more than 2000. That was not much feasible. Then we moved into Dataverse. So now in the process of moving the everything into Dataverse, kind of we moved from SharePoint to the virtual entity first, so that the transition is smooth, then completely to Dataverse, so that we have all the business rules within the Dataverse. So around 20 to 30% of the code inside the Power Apps has been reduced because most of the business rules went into Dataverse. So it reduces most of our activity, especially when you are changing the currencies. Dataverse is really good in managing the currencies. You have a base currency, then you can keep changing for different currencies. Automatically it does. Just enter the exchange rate, and the exchange rate is within the finance team, so we don't manage. So that's about the Power Apps. So probably I will go back to the slide. Okay, so let me go to Power Automate now. So if you can see here, the Power Automate, there are several choices of Power Automate right now we have. When we start with the very first primitive version of the travel approval, the approval option was very limited, which is like single level approval, or you would have parallel approval that if anyone approves, it is approved, or the serial. So it becomes easier. When more and more complex workflow comes in, it becomes very tedious for us to manage at that time. So we made it very simple workflow application of 1 or 2 level of approval, not more than that. But eventually, if you want to know very basics about Power Automate approvals, these 4 are the main types of Power Automate approval processes which currently has Microsoft in the Power Automate, Microsoft Power Automate. The first one is the approve reject, where everyone must approve, meaning that if you have 4 or 5 people added to the approver, everyone should approve, or else it doesn't move on. Second, first one to respond. Like for example, you have 4 approvers. If anyone, the first one respond, then the whole workflow will end, meaning that it goes to the next stage. Then the custom responses. Later I show you the Power Automate which we have, meaning that when you do the first 2 Power Automate, you only have a choice of approve, reject, and some command. There are scenarios where you want to get a custom text from or options from approver. Example, in the approval process which we have now, basically the approval process would be like more of when someone submit a claim for a travel. If it is less than $500, it goes directly to the manager, and the manager would directly approve it. But if it is more than $500, it has to go through the finance team, and the finance team will review it. And if the finance team feels that whatever the travel claim which they are doing it feels like it is going out of the budget, or some discrepancies are there, or it needs more of a review, he can select an option saying that as CFO has to review. So the choice is based on the finance team. So the finance team can either approve or need review from CFO. So once he say that, a person say that finance person set it to need a review for CFO, it looks for that option and it goes to another level of approval. So the whole level of approval is dynamic in the sense, and the CFO just reviews it and he approve or reject it. So that is the level of thing you can do with a custom response. Same with the custom response, you have 2 choices. All whoever in the approver list should respond, or the one person should respond. So apart from that, there is kind of a sequential approval flow, which is at the last category of the approval. So what it does is you can specify users within your approval process, and you can keep on adding the users. So it goes sequentially. So the order which you add in, instead of adding a multiple wait for approval, you add a wait for approval and keep on adding users within. So it can go through serially. So you don't have to keep on adding multiple approval and check for the rejection and other stuff. So it goes sequential. And also parallel, which is multi-level approval. So you can do a parallel response. And the dynamic approval, which I mentioned you, it's exactly the same which I mentioned. Based on the responses from the previous approver, the whole approval process changes, or it becomes very simple. So it is completely dynamic. That brings my to the end of slide, and let me show the, okay, let me show the application, which is this one. Okay, so this application is one of the earliest one which I could be able to create it with the Dataverse. So this application, if you see here, let me open the Dataverse table. That would be easier. Okay, custom table. So you can see here there are travel approval, trip, travel claim, and travel status. These are the three tables which bounded to the travel claim application. Basically, what happens is that the claim is made to the travel which has been already approved and been traveled. So all the trip will be saved in the travel approved trip, and whatever the claim now which is applied through this app will be saved in the travel claim. And the workflow which happens, whatever the Power Automate workflow, 1 level, 2 level, or multi-level approval which happens, it goes through. Everything is saved within travel claim status application in the table. So these are the main three tables, and let me show the app. Many screens. Okay. These are the tables. You can see here. These are the tables. Okay. Travel claim, and the travel claim statuses table. These three are the tables. So this is the Excel which I shown you. Let me go through the GitHub. Okay, this is my GitHub, and if you go to Power Automate, you would see several options. Then you would see the Power Font Awesome bold icons. So this is just the bold icons which you can download and use it. And there is one more Font Awesome all icons. So the Font Awesome all icons, it is an Excel file. And if you open this Excel file, you would see different tables. Let me open it from my option. Give me a minute. I'm opening in the other window. Font Awesome all icons. Okay, it is opening. Okay, let me zoom it for a while. Okay, so what I have done is that I have done quite a kind of a transformation using the Power Query, so that all the icons is basically the Font Awesome website allows you to download the SVG for each icon, and I downloaded it, converted into an Excel with the data using a Power Query, and then saved it like a normal table format. So you see the table here. This table is the regular icon table, and you see the name here and the path. The path is nothing but the SVG path. Basically, it draws the icon. So that's why it is called a vector graphic. And the view box is nothing but it gives you the size. So for example, set an icon like a user icon. It might be slightly taller than the other icon. So I don't want to be slightly the icon to look kind of stretched or squeezed. So based on the SVG diagram or the pixels, the view box will automatically align your icon. So that's why I even went to that level to take the view box. So basically what you do is you have three tabs, which are nothing but three table. So solid is the solid icon table. You can see here solid icons, and there are branded icon and which are in brand table, as well as the regular. So all these are in like a normal table format. So you can just, all you need to do is that just import the Excel, then you would see three data sources. Then you can start using the data sources, like you have the user icon. Okay, that's it. So this is the Power App formula. You can see here, lookup of the solid icon. I'm using the solid icon table, and I'm just specifying the name, user type, and the view box. And I have gone to the, I have even made the RGB more of a theme based, more like a Bootstrap. So Bootstrap, we always have the primary, then the secondary, then you have these themes. So I started using the same concept. So primary is nothing but value, which is in app start, I think, or in, okay, it's here. So you can see here the primary is nothing but a color value, RGB of 3. So if you change this, every icon will change automatically. So meaning that if I change it to 45 and move away, it should change. Unvisible. So basically the screen, when it changes, it should change. Let me check. Okay, but you got the concept. So this RGB, which is set here in the icon, which is here, primary. Maybe it takes a while to refresh. Why it doesn't refresh? Sometime unvisible. Trigger on start. Okay, go back unvisible. Oh yeah, why? Okay, maybe this goes to the control. Okay, so basically this RGB you can even control from here, and the lookup. This is for the path, which is usually the tie. Let me change this. Hopefully it changes here. User tie with another one user. Okay, these are the options as you see here. Okay, so these are the font awesome. You can directly use it here. Okay, later if anyone is looking for this syntax, I can send you the YouTube link. You can directly copy paste the syntax, then it automatically starts to work. Similarly, you can add any icons you want, and these are designed based on the Bootstrap theme, where you have the text box and the images here. Just nothing but the rectangle, which is rectangle with the border and the picture inside and the icon. And similarly for the eye, you have a separate image icon, which is already there within Power Apps. And rest of the other things are like normal design from the Power Apps. Let me try to run it and then try to submit the claim. Okay, so this is about the app. So whenever when someone submit the claim from this app, basically what happens is that I will go through the table. Okay, what happens is that there is an entry added into the travel claim. So whenever there is an entry added into the travel claim, Power Automate is triggered. So I have two Power Automate here to demonstrate. The first one is the serial Power Automate, which I mentioned is a simple Power Automate, which will just trigger and goes through just one process of approval. And there is another Power Automate, which is a travel claim approval. This also is triggered based on the table entry. Let me turn it off so that anyone would be triggered, not both. Okay. So this Power App will be triggered for now. Let me go through it before I run it so that it's become easy for people to see. Okay. So this is a simple Power Automate. When a row is created, what happens is that it creates claim information. Whatever the information which it gets from the travel trip, it creates a claim information. And this is the one which I mentioned you, sequential approval. So it goes to approval of one level. Whoever is the approval is line manager. And then there is one more approval. So it goes to sequentially to one by one. And you can have any details of the approval you want. And finally, it will be submitted. And what happens is that it checks whether it's approved. Then if it is approved, it adds the details into the travel claim statuses. And also if it is rejected, it adds different status into the table. So basically, if I just, I quickly just run this. Okay, it has been submitted. So let's see whether the Power Automate is triggered. Sometimes it takes 1 or 2 minutes before triggering. So we'll have to wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, it started running. So basically what it happens is that it goes through sequential. So it creates an entry and it will wait for approval. And the approval goes to the first approver. The first approver, it's the teams. So it should be someone in the team. So let me log in. Okay, let me sign in. Yes. Okay, I quickly signed in. Let me go to the teams. I should get the approval. Okay, yes. So you can see here, it is waiting for the approval. It's a normal approval flow, so nothing fancy in it. So basically, I submitted it, it's waiting for approval, then it goes to the next level. So I can add a comment. So basically now you have only the reject and approve because it's a simple workflow, and you have a reassign option as well. But in original scenarios, in most of the cases, they don't allow to reassign, will be hidden, and you would have options to approve or reject. So once you approve, then it goes to another approval level because it has to go to another approval, then it goes into subsequent approval. Okay, so this is how the simple approval goes in. The second flow, I've just quickly done through. That's a slightly complex workflow. I don't say it is very complex, but based on the business scenario, it is slightly a bit complex. Okay, so the same, when a row is created, we are getting the trip details. Okay, if you see here, if the claim amount is less than or equal to $500, so right now they don't consider the currency. In the original workflow, what we did is that we even calculated, we converted everything into the USD, even if the claim is in different submission, which is in SGD or in other Hong Kong dollar or in some other currency, it always converts into USD 500. Then if it is less than or equal to 500, the manager can directly approve it. So he would have all the details when he's approving, then he just see the detail and then he approves it. So once it is approved or rejected, the record has been created. Consider if it is greater than 500, it goes for finance for approval. And when the finance goes for approval, there will be two options. Either he can approve or need a review from CFO. It goes one level approval on top. So when he says that it has to be reviewed again, after he submit that review again, it again enters a submission, because every step we need to capture into the database, saying that what are the steps it has gone through. So we added the entry, and it checks here whether the additional field which they have provided has CFO. If they need a CFO, then probably it has to go through this. So the CFO will receive. So whatever the comment finance team adds in, it goes to CFO for review, and he can approve or reject. So that's how this is kind of a dynamically approval workflow. So that's all from my side. Hope this is really helpful for you all.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was really helpful, actually. So if I wrap up, in conclusion, it was, around the Power Apps travel request form and travel claim form, and also the Power Automate related to that app. So we learned today about how you can build the Power Apps for this type of request and for the travel claim, and how you can use the font awesome and different type of the control in the Power Apps. And we learned how we can use SVG files in the app, how leverage the AI builder in the Power Apps development, and how the AI builder will help us to extract the content from the receipt or something like that. And for the Power Automate area, so we learn how we can use different type of the approval actions in the Power Automate. So it was a great presentation, and thank you, Senthamil. So I'm not seeing any question here in the comment box. Sorry, there are some noise here from my kids. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it's morning here, so they have full energy, actually, and woke up recently. Yeah, so there is some noise here. Yeah, that's it, and thank you so much, Senthamil. I'm not seeing any comments here. If you have, guys, any question, please put in the comment. So we have 6 minutes left for our session today, and we can take on this. Actually, I'm going to a little bit talk about the AI Skills Challenge. So as you know, that AI Skills Challenge started on September 24th. Let me share my screen to show you something about this here. Yeah, so this is the AI Skills Challenge page. So this is the link to the challenge homepage. Let me put it in the chat, sorry, in the screen. So yeah, aka.ms/AI Skills Challenge. So you can join to the challenge. So there are 6 different challenge here for Azure AI, business intelligence, actually build intelligence app with the Microsoft Azure, create agent in Microsoft Copilot Studio, Microsoft Fabric, accelerate developer productivity with GitHub and Azure for developer, and secure your data in the age of AI. So you can join all of them or each of this challenge and level up your skills. It's started on September 24th and will be continue and ends on November 1st. So you have more time to join to this challenge and get the digital badge from the Microsoft Learn, and also level up your skills around the AI skills. That's it at my end, and thank you everyone. Thank you Senthamil for your great session today, and hopefully to see you again in our future event with another topic and another session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you everyone, and have a great weekend. Bye.